As we begin our ceremony this evening, I would like to thank the members of our Planning Committee and the Bellevue Kiwanis Club, the City of Bellevue Parks Department for all of their support, Bellevue East and Bellevue West Junior ROTC, the Bryan Band, the Heartland of America Band for their contributions, and to our bagpiper Andrew Angus Bell. I'd like to recognize any members of the City Council. Just wave your hand. The Honorable Lyle Strom, United States District Judge, Colonel Marty Reynolds, Commander of the 55th Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Michael Morris, Command Chief, Lieutenant Melvin, Bellevue Police Department, and Battalion Chief Steve Wagner of the Bellevue Fire Department. For the families of the fallen, we hope this ceremony assures you that your loved ones will be remembered. We cannot know the depths of your pain, but we honor you anyway. On September 10th, 2002, we dedicated the 9/11 Memorial to people from 80 nations lost on 9/11. Today we gather again to commemorate the loss of innocent victims and of warriors who fell that we might be safe. We also remember that our police, fire, paramedics, and our military put their lives on the line for us every day. They are all due our deepest respect and appreciation. Thanks to a 2008 law, veterans now have the right to render the military salute as our flag passes and during the Pledge of Allegiance. Civilians salute our flag by placing their right hand over their heart.
Please rise for the presentation of our colors by the Bellevue West Junior ROTC. Color guards, post your colors.
Company salute.
As the color guard moves to face the audience, the state flags of Nebraska and Iowa will dip in salute to our fallen warriors and their families. The American flag remains at attention, a living sentinel to the protection of our many freedoms.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Michelle Schroeder of the U.S. Office of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service.
Thank you. Everyone, please be seated. May it please the court, the following people have been examined by an officer of the Bureau of Citizenship and Immigration Services and have been found eligible for citizenship upon taking the required oath of allegiance. As I read your name and country of birth, please stand until you are instructed to take your seat. Burem Haliti, Kosovo. Nayayang Puak Biel, Ethiopia. Nayayal Kul Gok, South Sudan. Ayoko Kafui Dajuso, Togo. Getulio Enrique Medina Acevedo, Panama. Inutu Mwaluka Paul, Zambia. Maricela Kosh, Mexico. Yuyet Dominguez Aldana, Cuba. Gerardo Alarcon Marino, Mexico. Swale Shah, Burma. Jenny Nguyen, Vietnam. Warden Najato Bacha, Togo. Amelia Rivera Velasquez, El Salvador. Martha de Los Angeles Duazic, Peru. Edie Julian Francisco Marcos, Guatemala. Raul Sosa Bareilles, Mexico. Ikechukwu Ndomdi Igbokwe, Nigeria. Nyadeng Gator Kwan, South Sudan. Frederick Ikir Kamu, Kenya. Maria Guadalupe Contreras Avalos, Mexico. Moon Barua, Bangladesh. Maria Elena Gomez de Urube, Mexico. Holly Vo, Vietnam. Addie Shrestha, Nepal. Alonzo Baltazar, Guatemala. Hyung Suk Tommy Lee, South Korea. Ana Leticia Gonzalez, Mexico. Rodel Alfred Hognang Arujo, Philippines. James Russell Frith, United Kingdom. Christine Liang Kunz, China. Paula Gaitan, Mexico. Trong Son Thang Nguyen, Vietnam. Nuria H. Zepeda, El Salvador. C. Blute, Burma. Maria del Carmen Martinez Antonio, Mexico. Your Honor, these people have been found to have a knowledge and understanding of the English language and the history and government of the United States. The government now moves that these people be admitted to citizenship upon taking the required oath of allegiance, and the name changes requested be granted.
All right. Well, that motion is granted. You hereby declare on oath that you absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty of whom or which you have heretofore been subject or citizen, that you will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that you will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that you will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law, and that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. If so, say I do.
Now, I would like to have Miss Anutu Paul come up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the first time our newest citizens will say their Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
Fellow citizens, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Well, it's a real pleasure for me to welcome you now into the United States as its newest citizens. You are as fully a citizen as if you were born to citizenship in this country. The preamble to our Constitution begins with the words, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Just for a few minutes, let's talk about those first three words. Have you ever thought how significant they really are? The basis of our whole system of government is the people, you and me, we the people. You have today, by taking your oath of citizenship, become part of we the people. And it is a great privilege and a personal pleasure for me to be the first to address each of you as fellow citizens of the United States of America, as the newest members of we the people. You have just had conferred upon you the most valuable, most priceless civil right known on earth today. Simple though the title citizen be, I doubt if there be one among us who would trade it for any other honor or distinction. I firmly believe that neither rank, nor power, nor wealth would have any real value to any of us if we had to exchange our citizenship and its accompanying freedoms for them. To most, citizenship comes as a gift, simply by place of birth, and as individuals we have done nothing whatever to merit or earn it. But to you, citizenship has come by choice, and I am sure in many instances through considerable effort. You are to be saluted and given every measure of respect. Remember that you have become citizens as fully and completely as though you were born to it and had descended from preceding generations of citizens. For there are no grades or ranks in American citizenship. I believe freedom with dignity for the individual person is a basic and essential element of American citizenship. The entire course of history is the story of the struggle of men and women toward the heights of individual freedom that we have achieved. And it is a continuing battle to preserve these freedoms that we have secured. Consider our rights of freedom of opinion and freedom of expression. They include liberty of political thought and action, freedom of conscience and worship, and the right of expression through the written and spoken word. Of all of our national treasures, these are the most highly prized because they promote the security of the human spirit and because they pertain to the actions wherein historically men and women have been most often restrained. However, we must not deceive ourselves. Each of these rights begets a corresponding duty or responsibility. The duty to conduct ourselves so as not to infringe those rights of our fellow citizens. Ironically, although our Constitution designates the American people as the ultimate source of governing authority in the United States, few Americans are familiar with the Constitution and the rights, the duties, and powers that it confers. In addressing this paradox, one American scholar suggested, Though we are only inheritors of the Constitution and not makers of it, the continuation of orderly government under the Constitution requires not only our tacit assent, but also our active participation in accepting the duties as well as the rights which we derive from it. I don't mean to demean in any respect the importance of those rights and the importance of their having been spelled out in the first 10 amendments to our Constitution. They restrain the government in its dealing with we, the people. But remember, we, you and me, are that government. We, you and me, are we the people. This means that the Bill of Rights is really identifying for each of us those duties we have as citizens toward all our fellow citizens. You should realize that what I am really saying is that you and me are we the people. And so I charge you to understand your citizenship with solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only toward the best. Lift up every task you do and every office you hold to the high level of service to God and to others. So live and serve that those who know you will be inspired to their finest efforts. We have too many who have used their strength and their brains to exploit others and to gain selfish ends. Don't be among those. Rather, dedicate yourself and your hearts and your hands to the common good. Build America on the solid foundation of clean living, honest work, and unselfish citizenship. Then, whatever others may do, you will leave behind you a record of which you may be justly proud. Remember, it is your country. The quality of life which you and your families will enjoy will be dependent upon how you accept the responsibilities of citizenship and recognize that it is only through the rule of law that this quality of life can be sustained. And so I again am pleased and proud to be able to welcome each of you into citizenship in this great country. At the conclusion of this ceremony, I will come down and personally deliver to each of you your new certificate of citizenship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. It is now my pleasure to recognize Dave Szymanski and Chad Demaro from the Bellevue Fire Department to do the honoring the 4-5s.
The fire service is rich with ceremony, custom, and tradition. Our custom of rendering final honors has its origin in the fire department of the city of New York. Many years ago, long before the advent of radios and pagers, fire alarms and daily announcements were dispatched from central headquarters to outlying firehouses by a system of bell commands and telegraph. Each different type of alarm or announcement would have its own number and series of bell strikes. When a firefighter died in the line of duty, or when some important official or personage died, headquarters would transmit 5 bell strikes repeated in 4 series, with a slight pause between each series, followed by the announcement. This was done as long ago as 1886 in the New York City Fire Department to inform the rank and file of the death of Abraham Lincoln. The custom has continued down to the present day, and this form of rendering final honors and for departed comrades is known in the fire service as striking the 4-5s. I ask that members of area fire departments, EMS, law enforcement, first responders, and our civilian and defense members, active and retired, please rise and stand in place until seated by my command. The signal 5555 has been transmitted. It is with deep regret that we announce the death of our brothers and sisters on September 11th, 2001, and since that time. Their time of service and assignments are completed, and they have returned to quarters. Company, be seated.
Please welcome VFW Post 10785 Honor Guard, commanded by Don Glenn. The Honor Guard will now conduct the 13 folds of the flag ceremony. Please rise and come to attention.
The flag folding ceremony described by the Uniformed Services is a dramatic and uplifting way to honor the flag on special days like Memorial Day or Veterans Day, and is sometimes used in retirement ceremonies. The flag folding ceremony represents the same religious principles on which our country was originally founded. The portion of the flag denoting honor is the canton of blue, containing the stars representing the states our veterans served in uniform. The canton field of blue dresses from left to right and is inverted when draped as a pall on the casket of a veteran who has served our country in uniform. In the armed forces of the United States, the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded in a triangular fold, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. The next morning, it is brought out and at a ceremony of reveille, run aloft as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. The first fold. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veteran departing our ranks who gave a portion of his life for the defense of our country to attain a peace throughout the world. The fourth fold. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature. For as American citizens trusting in God, it is to Him that we turn in times of peace as well as in times of war for His divine guidance. The fifth fold. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country. For in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie. It is with our hearts that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all our enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the shadow of the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor Mother for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, their love and loyalty and devotion, that the character of the men and women who have made this country great have been molded. The tenth fold. The tenth fold is a tribute to Father, for he too has given his sons and daughters for the defense of our country since they were first born. The 11th fold. The 11th fold in the eyes of the Hebrew citizen represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold. The 12th fold in the eyes of the Christian citizen represents the emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The 13th fold. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
Justice was done in Washington, New York, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and throughout the world. We now pay our respects to our fallen warriors. We try very hard to correctly identify all of our fallen warriors, but Privacy Act limitations and the way hometowns are listed on various databases give us problems. If you know of someone from Nebraska or western Iowa whose name we do not call, please let us know. And now, for those who are able, please stand for the roll call of the fallen. And we thank the Junior Air Force ROTC cadets from Bellevue East and Bellevue West High Schools for assisting us in honoring our fallen warriors. Corporal Matthew L. Alexander, United States Army, Gretna, Nebraska. Sergeant Lonnie Calvin Allen, United States Army, Bellevue, Nebraska. Chief Warrant Officer Christopher M. Allgaier, United States Army, Omaha, Nebraska. First Lieutenant Garrison Avery, United States Army, Lincoln, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Daniel Bader, United States Army, Palmer, Nebraska. Specialist William L. Bailey, Nebraska National Guard, Bellevue, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Stephen P. Blass, United States Army, Esterville, Iowa.
Staff Sergeant Michael Bach, United States Marine Corps, Omaha, Nebraska. Sergeant John E. Bonnell, United States Marines, Fort Dodge, Iowa. Specialist Val J. Borm, United States Army, Sidney, Nebraska. Private First Class Brian A. Botello, United States Army, Alta, Iowa. Private Noah Boy, United States Marine Corps, Grand Island, Nebraska. Private First Class Brandon Buttry, United States Army, Shenandoah, Iowa. Specialist Casey Byers, Iowa National Guard, Schleswig, Iowa. Captain Joel Cahill, United States Army, Papillion, Nebraska.
Specialist Nathaniel Caldwell, United States Army, Omaha, Nebraska. Private First Class Benjamin Carmen, United States Marine Corps, Jefferson, Iowa. Chief Petty Officer Mark T. Carter, United States Navy, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Specialist Joseph B. Semper, United States Army, Papillion, Nebraska. Petty Officer First Class Jeffrey L. Cheney, United States Navy, Omaha, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Lillian C. Clemens, United States Army, Omaha, Nebraska. Lance Corporal Kyle Codner, United States Marine Corps, Wood River and Shelton, Nebraska.
Sergeant Wayne R. Cornell, United States Army, Holstein, Nebraska. Sergeant Dennis Corral, United States Army, Kearney, Nebraska. Sergeant Adam Craig, United States Army, Cherokee, Iowa. Specialist Jermaine Debro, Nebraska National Guard, Omaha, Nebraska. Master at Arms Petty Officer, First Class, John Duandara, United States Navy, South Sioux City, Nebraska. Sergeant Justin J. Duffy, United States Army, Cozad, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Kyle A. Eggers, United States Army, Grand Island, Nebraska.
Staff Sergeant Jason Fegler, United States Army, Harrisburg, Nebraska. Corporal Nathaniel Fender, United States Army, Ottawa, Iowa. Lieutenant Colonel Paul J. Finken, United States Army, Erling and Mason City, Iowa. Staff Sergeant Jeremy Fisher, Nebraska National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska. Specialist Joshua Ford, Nebraska National Guard, Pender and Wayne, Nebraska. Captain Travis Ford, United States Marine Corps, Ogallala, Nebraska. First Lieutenant Jacob N. Fritz, United States Army, Verdun, Nebraska. Command Master Chief Jeffrey Garber, United States Navy, Hemingford, Nebraska.
First Lieutenant Kevin J. Gaspers, United States Army, Hastings, Nebraska. Mark Graham, Canadian Forces, Lincoln, Nebraska. Corporal Chad Grepper, United States Army, Kingsley, Iowa, and Lincoln, Nebraska. Sergeant Patrick Hamburger, United States Army, Lincoln, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Hansen, United States Army, Cairo, Nebraska. Sergeant Matthew Henderson, United States Marine Corps, Lincoln, Nebraska. Specialist Adam G. Harold, United States Army, Omaha, Nebraska.
Specialist Adrian E. Hike, United States Army, Callender, Iowa. Petty Officer Micah Aaron Hill, United States Navy, Ralston, Nebraska. Specialist Josiah Hollopeter, United States Army, Valentine, Nebraska. Sergeant Thomas Hauser, United States Marine Corps, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Specialist Darian Howe, United States Army, Beatrice, Nebraska. First Lieutenant Edward Iwan, United States Army, Albion, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Tricia L. Jameson, Nebraska National Guard, Omaha, Nebraska. Private First Class Michael R. Jarrett, United States Army, North Platte, Nebraska.
Corporal Jeremy Jones, United States Army, Omaha, Nebraska. Sergeant James C. Carney III, Iowa National Guard, Emerson, Iowa. Corporal Shane Quilone, United States Marine Corps, Omaha, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Shane M. Cole, United States Army, Wayne, Nebraska. Petty Officer Eric Knott, United States Navy, Grand Island, Nebraska. Special Agent Daniel J. Kuhlmeyer, United States Air Force, Bellevue, Nebraska. Lance Corporal William J. Lusink, United States Marine Corps, Maurice and Sioux Center, Iowa.
Sergeant Kenneth E. Locker, United States Army, Wakefield, Nebraska. Private Tim Madison, United States Army, Bellevue, Nebraska. Specialist Brent Marr, Iowa National Guard, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Corporal Jared Marr, United States Marine Corps, Imogene, Iowa. Sergeant Randy J. Matheny, United States Army, McCook, Nebraska. Petty Officer First Class Joseph A. McSqueen, United States Navy, York, Nebraska. Sergeant Joseph B. Millage, United States Army, Glenwood, Iowa.
Lance Corporal Clinton J. Miller, United States Marines, Greenfield, Iowa. Sergeant David M. McKeever, United States Army, Kearney, Nebraska. Petty Officer 3rd Class David Moreno, United States Navy, attached to the 4th Marine Division, Lincoln and Gering, Nebraska. Sergeant Dennis Morgan, South Dakota National Guard, Valentine, Nebraska. Sergeant Corey Morasic, United States Army, Hayes Spring, Nebraska. Specialist Sean Moore, United States Army, Coon Rapids, Iowa. Staff Sergeant Jeremy W. Mulhire, United States Army, Omaha, Nebraska.
Private Kenneth Nally, United States Army, Hamburg, Iowa. Petty Officer First Class SEAL Caleb A. Nelson, United States Navy, Omaha, Nebraska. Captain Matthew Nielsen, United States Army, Jefferson, Iowa. Staff Sergeant Scott Nisley, Iowa National Guard, Syracuse, Nebraska, and Iowa Falls, Iowa. Sergeant Nicholas Nolte, United States Marine Corps, Falls City, Nebraska. First Lieutenant Mark Noziska, United States Army, Grand Island and Papillion, Nebraska. Specialist Christopher W. Opat, United States Army, Spencer, Iowa. Sergeant Jason Palmerton, United States Army, Auburn, Nebraska, and Hamburg, Iowa.
Private First Class Christopher F. Pfeiffer, United States Army, Spalding, Nebraska. Staff Sergeant Benjamin G. Pronge, United States Army, Hickman, Nebraska. Specialist Blaine Redding, United States Army, Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Sergeant David Rice, United States Army, Sioux City, Iowa. Sergeant Joshua Robinson, United States Marine Corps, Omaha, Nebraska. Corporal Adrian Robles, United States Marine Corps, Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. Sergeant Robert C. Schulte, Nebraska National Guard, Omaha, Nebraska.
Sergeant Jacob S. Schmucker, Nebraska National Guard, Atkinson, Nebraska. Lance Corporal Michael D. Scholl, United States Marine Corps, Lincoln, Nebraska. Corporal Nathan Schubert, United States Marine Corps, Cherokee, Iowa. Sergeant Michael P. Scusa, United States Army, Lincoln, Nebraska. Sergeant Daniel Sesker, United States Army, Ogun, Iowa. Corporal Stephen D. Shannon, United States Army, Gutenberg, Iowa. Private First Class Benjamin J. Slavin, United States Army Reserve, Plymouth, Nebraska. Sergeant Philip Svitak, United States Army, Fremont, Nebraska.
Staff Sergeant Christopher Swisher, United States Army, Lincoln, Nebraska. Master Sergeant Linda Tarango Grease, United States Nebraska National Guard, Sutton, Nebraska. Sergeant Clayton Thomas, United States Marine Corps, Columbus, Nebraska. Private First Class William Thorne, United States Army, Hospers, Iowa. Specialist Gregory L. Tull, United States Army, Pocahontas and Storm Lake, Iowa. Sergeant First Class Terry Wallace, United States Army, Bellevue, Nebraska. Lance Corporal Drew W. Weaver, United States Marine Corps, Gretna, Nebraska.
Staff Sergeant Leroy O. Webster, United States Army, Hartley, Iowa. Captain David Wisniewski, United States Air Force, Mobile, Iowa. Specialist First Class James Wolfe, United States Army, Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. Private First Class Edwin Wood, United States Army, Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Private First Class Eric Paul Woods, United States Army, Urbandale, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska. Specialist Dustin L. Workman, United States Army, Greenwood, Nebraska. Captain Robert J. Ieska, United States Army, Lincoln and Osceola, Nebraska. Lance Corporal Brent Zuha, United States Marine Corps, Clarks, Nebraska. Please remain standing for the laying of the ceremonial wreath. Gentlemen. Representing the Brotherhood of Emergency Services Units and their brethren in New York and the Pentagon are Lieutenant Tim Melvin of the Bellevue Police Department and Chief Steve Wagner of the Bellevue Fire Department. Representing our military from Bellevue's own 55th Wing are Colonel Marty Reynolds, commander of the wing, and Chief Master Sergeant Michael Morris, command chief. Along with the love of their families, this wreath symbolizes a charred and torn American flag presented by the New York Fire Department to one of the first units to deploy to Afghanistan. Those battle-hardened warriors returned that flag with honor to the New York Fire Department, where it occupies a special place of distinction. The flags surrounding the Pentagon are placed for our firemen, our EMTs, our policemen, the warriors we've lost, and the wounded warriors and all of their families. Gentlemen. For the families who've lost so much, know that your loved ones will always be remembered here. We'll hold this ceremony as long as Americans stand in harm's way and we can draw a breath, because we will never forget. As we end this year's ceremony, please join our bands in singing God Bless America. Thank you all.